Hi, this is Basil Green speaking. Welcome to my podcast, The Basil Green Show. This show was exclusively created for you, the responsible leader. The education you will receive will equip you with the right knowledge, skills, and attitudes to succeed in a competitive working environment and in life. You will learn how to use communications as a tool. Ultimately, you will influence the success of your nation positively. Don't confuse me with the president or government. The money you will make, some of it they will come to take. The marketplace also wants a portion of it, like it's a piece of cake. Use this podcast for your elevation, influence the success of your nation, and then join the celebration. Welcome to introducing the Basil Green Show. And I am your host, none other than Basil Green. It's such a pleasure to finally get this podcast rolling. It is the first month of 2022. And we've come into this new year with many challenges and some good things in front of us. But I want to get quickly into today's topic as I'm introducing this podcast, the show. This is not the official first podcast, you can say. This is just an introduction to what I'm going to be doing on this podcast. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of where I started and why I came into this direction. Why did I choose to focus on responsible leadership? And why did I choose to use communications as a tool to assist you to influence the success of your nation positively? Now, it might sound like I am doing the government's work or I am doing work that is governmental, but it's not. I am influencing you to influence the environment around you. And then ultimately, you are going to go out and make a difference in your nation. So your actions will create a chain reaction. So when I open up my business, Lechem Motivations, it's spelled Lechem. It's the Hebrew word for bread. And I decided to go in this direction. I was at Shanduka Black Umbrellas. It is a business incubator here in Durban. They have different branches all over South Africa. So when I started out, I needed to do some research, put together a business plan, and then present so that I would be accepted into the program. So I did my research. I had already been doing it for maybe 6 months before I had joined the Shanduka Black Umbrellas business incubator, and I carried on to compile something that was going to be effective, that was going to impress them so that they can allow me to join the program. So I did that and I was accepted into the program. But these are the things that I spoke about. This is not everything I spoke about. But I feel today I just need to share that part with you so that you can get a little bit of an understanding why Basil decided to go into this thing called responsible leadership. Now, at the time, I had done my research. I had not found that word. I decided to create it. I don't know, maybe Google's algorithm wasn't working when I researched the word responsible leadership. It wasn't there. So that was in 2015 or so. I decided, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to call what I'm doing responsible leadership. So I did quite a lot of research. It included different sources, but I'm just going to give you 4 different sources. Most of it is mainly from people within South Africa, or research that was done here in South Africa. And then I've got other one so that is from somebody outside of South Africa. The first thing that I discovered when I was doing my research was that there is a huge problem with alcohol or substance abuse. Alcohol and substance abuse. Now, do not think that I am speaking against people drinking alcohol. I've met some people that are able to drink 1 glass of beer, have 1 shot of brandy or whiskey, whatever it is that they are drinking, and they don't finish it. I used to go into people's houses, see that they have a lot of alcohol in the front and in their house and on display. And they'll say sometimes if they're wishing for something in the week, they will drink. So I'm not speaking against alcohol. There are people that can control themselves. This first problem is about substance abuse. Now, when we don't know the purpose of a thing, we shall abuse it. Okay, so let me read the quote. The impact of alcohol and substance abuse continues to ravage families, communities, and society. The youth of South Africa are particularly hard hit due to the increase in harmful use of alcohol and the use and abuse of illicit drugs. And this was by Ms. Batabile Dlamini, MP of Social Development. And I was reading this from the National Drug Master Plan for 2013 up until 2017 by the Department of Social Development. So I have a history of drugs. I used to abuse drugs. I drank a lot as well, but that's not the topic of today. Drug dealing is leadership. So the drug dealer is a leader. From other parts of the research that I did recently, I found out that 1 in 5 people use drug or have used drugs here in South Africa. So there are 54 million or even more people now. But if it's 1 in 5, that is 10 million people. That is a lot of number. That's a lot of people. So I'm busy training for the census that is going to be taking place in South Africa, and I will find out whether I am a field worker or supervisor, or I've made it through the training. So by the end of this week or next week, I will know. We are going to be counting people, and soon South Africa will know roughly how many people will be around. But let me carry on to the second one. There is a mismatch between demand and supply of skills in the economy. And this is what was spoken about this problem. A key challenge for South Africa is the paradox of skills shortage in the workplace and high levels of unemployment. It is well known that a mismatch exists between the types of skills that are available and those demanded by the economy. These skills shortages underpin many of the challenges that government faces with regard to service delivery and the expansion of decent work for the rising proportion of the population. Career guidance can play an important role in encouraging all individuals to engage in career planning throughout life, taking into account that lifelong learning can enable them to respond more flexibly to the opportunities offered by a dynamic labor market. If you go and do the research now, you will find that we are still having that same problem here in South Africa. So this was spoken by an environmental scan of career advice in South Africa by the South African Qualifications Authority. So these are people that have been doing research, governmental institutions. This is the second one that I've spoken about. We got the research from credible sources, you can say. They know the problem. However, it is very difficult for them to figure out a way to solve this problem. Now, the third thing that I discovered was that there was a low level of readiness to meet demanding demands in the 21st century market. This is what the quote says. The low level of readiness suggests the current culture of learning and the investment in leadership does not meet the changing demands of the market, nor does it take into account the changing demographics that include the 21st century workforce. And this was spoken by Deloitte Consulting LLP and Deloitte by Person, Global Human Capital Trends 2014. And this was something they spoke about in Engaging the 21st Century Workforce by Deloitte Development LLC. In 2014, this was spoken. And you'll find that we're still having that challenge today. So there's still one more, and I'm going to bring this introduction to a close afterwards. Number 4, there is a need for a culture of responsibility amongst the born frees. Dr. Muriti suggested strategies for fostering a culture of responsibility among born frees. Those are people that are born after 1994. The born frees suffer from a culture of entitlement and refuse to carry responsibilities. The first line of engagement in rebuilding South Africa should start at the educational level. The second is at the local community level. And the third is at the workplace, government, trade unions, private sector, and civil society. There needs to be an additional shift and self-monitoring if we are to rebuild South Africa, he said. And this was an article written by Gaugelo Pule from the University of South Africa College of Human Sciences. So after I discovered all of these things, now there were other things that I researched here in South Africa, in Africa, and the rest of part of the world. So for me, when I'm going after something, I sometimes go after it very, very hard. And I was going and I was reading different ebooks and books and stuff on the internet, downloading stuff on my computer. And I decided I am going to focus on responsible leadership. As time went by, I decided I'm going to add the communications as a tool. So I trust that you are going to be impacted by what I'm going to be sharing with you, and that your life is going to change. And I'd just like to say goodbye to you now because I have come to the end of today. You were listening to the Basil Green Show. Subscribe to this podcast. Don't miss out on any episode. Lastly, but not least, I am a motivational speaker. To book me, you can check my contact details in the description of this podcast episode. First come, first serve. Thank you. Keep coming back.